What is up, everybody? It is Wednesday or Tuesday, November the 26th, 2024. Rocco's almost, not really, but almost getting sick of those all-time high dances. But here we are again today, intraday high there for the S&P, closing high. Utilities, really a lot of strength today, up 1.5%. Thankfully, technical analysis led me into that trade, one of the best top three sectors this year. Crazy to say with the market, rip beta ripping, you want to be in all-time highs, right? You think all year, but Utes have been a great place to be. Up 1.5% today. Last night, I'm sure you saw the tariff news from President-elect Trump. So Mexico off hard today. We were talking about it the other day or last night's video. Mexico, big give back today, down 2.5% to new lows. We'll take a look at the chart. And home construction and retail gave back about 2%. We were raving about them yesterday and honestly gave back almost half of what it gained yesterday. A very very mathematical move. And new all-time highs for, like I said, utilities, the Dow, communications, pushed by a nice session from Meta. So without further ado, my last program of the week, not around tomorrow, taking my kid to see the tree and all that stuff in New York. Then, of course, Thursday, gobble, gobble. And then Friday, a very, very, it's a short session, and I will not be opening or closing positions. So today, there's the graphic here. This guy, I guess, works at a utility firm, and these guys are counting all their money, and USA, going higher and higher. Here it is in writing. Utes up 1.5%, as I said. Mexico down 2.5%, and then home construction and retail get back about half their gains from yesterday, about 2% lower today, and new all-time highs for the Utes, the Dow, and the XLC. All right. Without further ado, this market is very strong, too strong. I've been on public record, Business Insider, other interviews talking about, let me share my screen. That's me. Let me pull up the chart here. So here's the intraday chart here for SPY. I'll start here with the weeds, and then we'll look for the forest amongst the trees. So here, a low volume today as well. We closed with about, was it 30 million shares of SPY? 37. So it was a lot towards the end here. You can see this is the opening bar in the morning where a lot goes down about, the significant 0.3 million shares, and then even more buying at the close, man. So pretty bullish. We weren't doing a ton until right about an hour into the session. 11 o'clock, we had some lift. We got to about 600, and that's when my ears were perking up saying, you know what, maybe we actually put out new all-time highs today, and boom, you got them right there at 3:30 p.m. hour. Strong candle. Folks do want to go long, into, tomorrow, the rest of the week. So as I zoom out, again, I've been on record, as I said, on in a distribution phase that began. I know it sounds crazy. I'm going to stick with the math for a second, although obviously this can change. I thought we were going to be in a distribution mode with very clear risk to reward. I do want to add around the 20th. Well, let me back up a second. I thought the distribution phase began around the 18th. So right around here, I thought we were going to at least just go sideways. I said, to me, the market had very clearly defined risk rewards levels. I loved buying at 585. Anything underneath that was a steal. Look at literally the lowest you got here, 585, guys. It's holding from that election, similar to the Bitcoin prices. I don't think we're going to revisit, sub 70K. The train's left the station. Sounds crazy, but those post-election numbers, trading closes, I don't think we're going to be revisited. And that's crazy to say that 585 potentially won't get revisited if things get horrendous. I think maybe we get to 570. And again, those are levels first discovered for the first time at the end of September. So long is the way here. We might get obviously bumps along the way, but this market is very, very strong. As I was saying, I thought a distribution phase would end around, December 1st or so, and we would be around 585. I still think it's possible. We literally hit all-time highs today. The Q chart's a little bit clearer defined to me where I have that kind of conviction. But as I said, the top to me was about 600 to 605. I said this all along. You can check the older videos. And your bottom is around 585. I like purchasing there. It's kind of like fair value with a little bit of possibility to really have some nice gains in the short term. And that's exactly what happened. You went from 585 to 601 in just a handful of sessions. So all in all, don't want to chase this market at 600. That's kind of my target here, even with this expansion. So going back to the previous thought I was saying I was on record for my Thanksgiving target was 590. You can Google it, 5,900 in the S&P, and my Christmas target was 6,000. Just basically pushing because we pulled those forward. I think it still has legs. Don't want to fight the Santa rally, even if we're up monster going into the year. So all that being said, I'll probably just adjust it 10 points. So Thanksgiving target where we are about 600, and then Christmas about 610. And I'm looking here at this upper Bollinger Band with the vol expansion, or really with these larger candles that are happening, that are occurring. We'll take a look at how much the VIX has dropped. We could get to 610 for Christmas or New Year's Eve. It looks very realistic, potentially even more than that, because animal spirits is a very, very strong thing, almost like Saquon Barkley. I'm going to try and have a Saquon Barkley reference every day. That would be awesome. It will just push the program up. So that is what happened with SPY today. Be long, stay long, guys. I don't want to preach here, but just be long. Don't be a silly goose. And if you get, it's not, insane that we don't get a revisit maybe to that 590 level, but you really have to be quick. You had these 3-4 chances, never short of superstar, and it went right back up to where those levels were. Okay, right back to the 600 mark. All right, let's look at what happened today. I don't think this is going to be much of a shock to folks, or maybe it is if you didn't pay attention to the markets today. A lot of the utilities were looking very, very strong. That's where we're going to start. There's only one multiple sigma deviation, multiple standard deviation mover today, and that was the utilities, and that was to new all-time highs today. So really an extraordinary move. I'm glad I'm in this. I'm in the Jan 79 calls. Whoops, let me move that box. And as you can see, this stock has ripped to 83. I had recommended buying the utilities. I can actually give it to you two ways. I have on my sheet buy XLU. Where was that in my chicken scratch? Oh, I said buy it on November the 7th or 8th. I can't really read my chicken scratch. I think I said buy it on November the 7th. That was here, this candle. And again, really a strong group. Look at this. You had 4 closes below the 20-day moving average. That's pretty much as good as it gets. You don't really have a lot of chances for that. That's like, who's killing it right now? Saquon Barkley maybe. So if Saquon Barkley averages maybe say 1 yard per carry, that's not going to happen too many times. He's going to break one, and that's what happened with Utes. It started to break. Now, all I've said, and you can check the tapes, I think from that week, it's November 7th or 8th. I said my target was 82.83. I'm looking at it right here. Literally, it says right here, buy. You can't read that, but it says buy XLU, $83 target. We are at 82.86. Beautiful looking candle. It would be just hubris to think this is the top for utilities in human history. I'm not an idiot, but you do have to understand that trees don't grow to the sky. This was target. I am in this for longer, for January calls. Otherwise, I would, potentially, if I was taking some profits, this had a nice run in the short term for a low vol, asset class, as it were, from 77 to 83. You don't typically move like that. And I see this cascading a little bit to about 80 over the next 2 to 3 weeks. So if you're in this trade, congrats. It's padded my portfolio wonderfully. And it still looks great. I think your next level to buy, I would not avoid this sector. If it gets a pullback to 79 in the next 2 to 3 weeks, I would jump on it and pounce. And again, XLU, it's hard to say, oh, let me get the alpha and invest or trade in a specific utility. A lot of them are not publicly traded, so you kind of have to go into the XLU to get the good exposure. Okay, so new all-time highs on utilities. Congrats if you're in that trade. I hopefully led you in it. That was the only multiple sigma standard deviation mover today. As we look to the downside, Mexico. So Trump announced a 25% tariffs last night on Mexico. The 52-week low on EWW is November 6th, of course, the day after his election. It traded to about, I'm going to round and call it we'll just say what it is. It's 48.65. Today, we got to 48.96, down 2 2/3%. Not a good-looking candle. We talked about this yesterday. I think that, it should hold around 48, 48.5. A couple of the other Mexico ETFs ran by like GX, not the MSCI one, but there's other ones that had 52-week low. So it depends on the composite and the allocations therein, the ETF. So there's, Walmex, there's different Cemex, there's different constituencies, obviously, and determining which one is, leaning into so much weakness. So this one seems like it's on its way. Ugly candle. Nothing's going to change. I don't think he's going to take back those tariffs. Ugly candle, as I said, really no reason to own Mexico since that election when they elected that, I think it was like a leftist woman on June 3rd. The country has just been, I mean, in free fall. I have no dog in this fight, but just an ugly, ugly looking chart. I think 48 will hold, and then potentially on some sort of ugly rotation, it can bounce to 51, and then that would be your cue to sell it again. But not looking good, Mexico. Nobody. Oh man, my high school Spanish teacher would be appalled. Maybe I'll chat GBT. How would I say nobody wants Mexico? No quiero Mexico. I kind of got in the mood for tacos now. All right, so that was Mexico down 2 2/3% today alone. Big loser on the week. We'll highlight it in a little bit after. ITB, so this one and the XHB had very similar moves today. Strong give back, down 2.1% today. If you recall, yesterday it was soared up 4.5%. The algos basically gave you back half of the gain. You can look at it here visually. Small little, I believe that's called a harami inside the entire yesterday's session of trading. So pretty much as expected. Again, trees don't grow to the sky, common sense. So this wasn't going to rip again. A lot of this was on yesterday's rate drop move as well, and a lot of bullishness in bonds after Trump, chose his election or his Treasury Secretary. So I like this group still. I think this is still to be in bull mode. All I want to say is on this, my target, and I talked about this last night in the video, was 126, maybe 127. Yesterday we got to 127, and where are we now? 124. So rather be buyer than seller. I'm full disclosure in IYR, which is correlated with this, but not exactly the same. It's IYR is a lot more REITs, real estate investment trusts. Home construction is a little bit different. This is Lennar, KB Horton, KB Homes, DR Horton, etc. So like this sector, would rather be a buyer than seller, but it's just pretty much almost fully valued. You might have another $2 of upside. I think this has animal spirits go to it for the next 2 weeks or so. I'd rather be, again, buyer than seller, but $2 of upside, and pullbacks probably take you to about 120. So always a good way to think about risk reward. We're at 124. I see $2 of upside, $4 of down, and you can see that's 2-to-1 risk. All right, and not in a good way in terms of upside. Okay, next, retail, exactly the same. Yesterday, retail ripped. Today, down 1.5%. Best Buy and Kohl's, some had some ugly, ugly guides. My baby, Abercrombie and Fitch, was even down today. So retail, very similar algo trading monsters yesterday. Today, give back half. Look at the session. This was a little bit less than half, now 1.5%. So not as low as the ITB. This group, I think, has to have a little bit of a reckoning. I think this gets to $79 over the next couple of weeks, over the next 2 weeks or so. I just think this, ascent and this breakout it has, I want to trust it, but I do also believe in mean reversion. I just think this pays a visit. Maybe not as quite as low as 79, but at least 80 half. Like I said, I'm not selling my Abercrombie and Fitch. I've been in that one for 2 years from 60, and it's trading 150. So sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. And technical analysis got me into that one as well. I don't think I own a pair of their khakis or whatever it is that they sell now. All right, top 3 gainers the past 5 days. No repeats in charts. If you have a ticker you want me to look up, put it in there. I won't be back on the show until Monday afternoon. Top 3 gainers the past 5 days. No repeats in charts. The best gainer this week, this piece of crap, Nat Gas. So let's take a look here. So you know where I stand on this. I almost want to name the show and not trading trends, but Nat Gas is a piece of crap. Just look at this. I mean, if you want to learn technical analysis, rejection, Dikembe, rest in peace, Dikembe, meaning it gets that line and it does not have the strength. Again, the 200-day moving average is not a number that we just pick from the sky. It's not astrology. It's the average price for close to 10 months of trading. So that level today up to the second is 1544. The stocks or the ETF rather closed at 1505, up a nice 2% today. I think this has run its course. My ceiling for in the near-term valuation was I don't think it's going to knock its head on the 200-day moving average again. Potentially it will. Full value for this, my full target is 15.25, and the high today was 15.25. And I think this has a visit to 1390 over the next 2 to 3 weeks, and potentially longer. I do think it has new 52-week lows in the cards, and that would mean it goes under 1235, and hence why I am in the January 14 puts. So not a great week for it. Literally, again, nat gas, the best performer the past 5 sessions, up 8.5%. Monster run. I think it was a really nice move that began. Let me look at here with a different metric. That really began here around the 8th, right around that 1240 level. Nice move, really a monster move, nearly off those lows to that 200-day moving average. I don't think this trend changes. This at least has to go for me to not think that nat gas is a piece of garbage. The 200-day moving average would at least have to go flat, and we need at least 5 to 10 sessions closing above that level. So for right now, get guilty until proven innocent, if you will. So this is still, I believe, fine levels to get short. If you don't have a position in nat gas, UNG, I like it under 1545. I think it's very heavy there. And I think a short-term target takes you to its 21-day exponential moving average, which is 1345. And that would book a nice gain. Next, not going to go too much in depth in this one because we just did the ITB, but the second best gainer this week. So it's nat gas up 8.5%. And again, when I say week, I mean the past 5 sessions. The next biggest gainer, XHB, the Homebuilders, which had a not so great day today, down 1.9er. And in the past 5 sessions, up 6, a robust 6.5%. Pull a chart at this again. So I'd rather be a buyer than seller, but do understand that my full target is right around 124. Yesterday, where did we get to? 126. I mentioned on the table on the video yesterday, you might not want to chase this. A very strong looking candle, but I don't see extraordinary upside from here. And exactly what happens inside day, where we trade inside the candle, and a down day down 2%. Again, rather be long than short, but my upside for this is 124. So you have basically $1.30 or so of upside, and pullbacks, I believe, do get you to about 118. So $5 of downside and $1 of upside. So not exactly my parameters for entering a trade currently. And the third best area in the market this week, biotech, specifically this one, was the ARKG. The XBI has very similar returns. Interesting chart here. If you recall, this was the Kennedy scare. It was just in free fall from November 11th. Literally sent the stock from 28 to a 52-week low of 22 very quickly to on the 19th. And then that was the bottom. And now I think this is a group that's been kicked around quite a bit. I think this is going to head towards 26.75. I talked about this the other day. I do believe this rises to about 26.5. So I'm going to put my cursor right where I believe it. Yeah, I still think it stays inside these early mid-November highs. I do think it gets above, kind of like the action I wanted to see out of nat gas, or not want to see, but what I would have to see to make me, not believe that it's garbage anymore. This group has had, really a hard time since, St. Patrick's Day here, essentially. So 8 months of downtrend, not doing nothing, but actually in a downtrend with lows just put in 7 days ago, last Tuesday. So I do think, more interestingly, I do think this is going to get a couple sessions above the 200-day moving average, but this is still really has some slope to the downside. Short-term target over the next 2 weeks, I should say, I believe this gets to about 26.5, right around there. And then I do think it still remains heavy and goes lower for ARKJ. All right. Top 3 losers of the past 5 days. Haven't looked at this chart in quite a bit, and lets me know that risk is, it's risk on times. Volatility index through VXX down 5.5% today. The biggest losing ETF of the week. So no shocker that, we're all-time highs today in the Dow and the S&P, etc., and IWM yesterday. So volatility, as you can see here, we peaked. Ultimate fear this year was that Japan Nikkei crash. We hit 91 in VXX, risk split adjusted rather. And now the 52-week low, again, split adjusted, is 40 even. That was in July 12th. And it's interesting. Some say, why are we not putting in new 52-week lows on this? It depends on. So this is the short-term futures. If you actually look at VXM and VXZ, I believe is the ticker. They're the midterm and longer-term futures. Those actually have hit 52-week lows today, and I do use that as foreshadowing. And I do think this is poised. You're not going to get a Santa Claus rally and not have this at 52-week lows. So, I mean, if you want to get a little risky, you could probably buy the 40 puts out in January, although they're probably going to be more expensive than you should pay. But I think this is headed. Well, let me pull up a chart at a different time frame, put my money where my mouth is. I think this may have a little bit of a move towards 48. Again, 50, 60, I'll just call it 51 even, is your 200-day moving average. I do not think it gets that. If we have some sort of scare or anything, I think this gets to 48 at best in the next week or so. And then after that, I do think 52-week lows are on the way in this ETF by I literally have it marked here December 19th. So right around there for a visit of 40 in VXX. Alrighty, EWW I'm not going to talk about, but VXX was down 5.5% in the last 5 days for an average of 1% loss per day. Today was in line there, down 0.6. The next biggest loser, so a little bit less of a move, but it's Mexico, down 4% in the past 5 days. And then right after it, down 3.5% through this ETF is China. So ASHR is down 3.5% today. Today it was down 30 bips. I know a lot of people look at the FXI. I am in the FXI calls, but this is very, very similar. This has had a lot of downward movement this week. So obviously has not been a very loved area. I think the 26 right around here will hold. Again, we were talking about this yesterday about where the stimulus was announced. It's almost like a syndicate. This is holding 26 in this specific ETF, and there's a comparable level in FXI. But I think this 26 holds, and I think when you get the animal spirits, Santa rally, I do think it's going to spread across assets. I don't think it's going to be just Bitcoin, or honestly, not even just the stuff that's been working, home builders or things like that. I think it goes to Bitcoin, semis, tech, potentially China. I think really, you're going to see vol flush. I think you're going to see this stuff go to the upside. So I think you can have not a quick mean reversion pop. I think this gets to, in the next 2 to 3 weeks, I think this gets to 27.5, which would be a move of $1.10 or so. And then ultimately a little bit longer term, I think this can get to as high as 29. So not this crazy heyday when they announced the stimulus in early October, not this 36 stuff. For the short term, it's still going to have to do a little bit of work, but a rising 200-day moving average, not the worst place to be. I'm an FXI. It's the same picture, and those haven't been obviously a great place to be in since hasn't really done anything since October 8th. So hang in there. I don't think it's an awful chart. I think it's not bad if you get in here. I don't think when we think of things in terms of risk reward, I don't see terrible downside here. I think it's leveling out. I think 26 is your support. And then again, so kind of zero in terms of downside risk reward, although that sounds insane. But in the short term, I don't see a ton of risk here. And then upside, I see it bouncing to about 27.5. So, a dollar upside, very minimal downside. All right. So top 3 absolute trades of the past 5 days. Long nat gas up 8.5%. I am short nat gas, and I'm mentioning this because so you're like, oh, I'm just having an awful week. Wasn't an awful week because the next biggest gainers are long home builders. I'm an IYR, and that's had some gains. XHB is up 6.5%, and the next gainer is ARKG up 6.5%, equal. And I'm in a biotech, the actual stock, and it's my largest position. Just a crazy mover, but it's more than a double, and that's how you get paid in those crazy things. So going into this shortened week, the hitters have been nat gas, home builders, and biotech. So if you have that on your bingo card, you're absolutely crushing it. Have an awesome Thanksgiving. I will not be around mañana. And be kind and diffuse some kindness into your life. Give thanks to God, all glory, of course. And enjoy your time. And I will talk to you on Monday. Peace out. Happy Thanksgiving.